Today I'm going to walk you through my setup for inking up a plate. So, said plate is finished, and I want you to have a look at your plate and just check for any fluffy bits because they will get into your ink, and trust me, you don't want that. So a good tip is to get some scissors, chop those, and yeah, just trim it down close to the edge, but don't go too close. We still want some finger holds, so once it is inked, we're not touching the ink. And as you can see, yeah, just those little bits there, they're probably a whisker close, but yeah, we're just going to chop that bit. Get my scissors, give me a minute. Yep, back. Okay, we'll just chop that, not over the table, Sal. Yep, okay, perfect. And just those little fluffy bits may get in the way, so just keep an eye on that. Anyway, we have a carved plate. We have masking tape. We have two runners, and I'll show you what to do with those in a minute, and they are just old pieces of Lino. Today we will be using oil-based ink, and we have an option actually. We can use oil-based or water wash-up ink. Today I'm using oil and a beautiful Prussian blue. Love a Prussian blue. Anyway, we have a spatula, we have a roller, or you may see around the traps, it's also called a brayer. Now for the fun part. I have positioned my block in the middle here, and we could go this way, but because of the width of our roller, I am going to show you, because most people won't have a roller, especially depending on the size of your plate, that will cover your roller, cover your block the whole way. So in this case, I want to show you why I use the runners and how I keep my roller flat so it reduces any the proper terminology is not plate noise, but it is this noise that you might pick up where it picks up random little high points that you haven't carved off. So I'm just going to take these in place and secure them. Oops, that one didn't really work. Real life studio issues here. Okay, so that's secure. My plate here is in the middle, and I'm going to show you how to ink up. So we'll put that out. I'm using Prussian blue because everyone loves Prussian blue. I especially do. Now you may notice that my plate slightly looks different to a couple of minutes ago. I've got a confession to make, but I videoed this the other day and it didn't video. So we're going to pull down a small bit of Prussian blue. Just get the excess off my spatula, put the lid back on. Yes, so I had a filming fail. Roller, and remember when you're finished with your roller, you always turn it upside down, which keeps your work area clean, which is a really good habit. Now the other thing with inking, and this is something I didn't talk about in my non-recorded version, you only need to roll your ink as wide as your roller and as high as your roller. So my square should be no bigger than my roller. So none of this painting the whole area. If you're fortunate enough to have a large sheet of acrylic like I have caught some students inking up like they're painting the wall, but it really, you're only causing yourself more cleanup. So if you want to roll it out like that, go for it, because I won't be cleaning it up, but it is just wasting ink and wasting your time. Now, can you hear that noise? It's beautiful sizzle. More little, yeah, someone described it as a soft S of if you were touching silk, not a squelching like you are walking through mud. So our roller is the same sheen that you can see over here. And what I'm going to do, one half of my roller is going to sit on a runner, which is going to keep my roller flat. So we're going to avoid any of this type. This is an exaggerated movement of our roller when we're rolling out, because the lino is the same height as the uncarved version here. So it will stay flat in all cases. So we roll, and you can see I'm only doing one side at the moment because I'm concentrating, and also it's an opportunity for you to see at home as you're watching this exactly what has been inked, what hasn't been inked, and how clean. And also it's a bit of, just a bit of a reveal too, which is always exciting. So I'm now going to go over the other side. Oh, what I should do, and I showed you this in the other video that didn't film, you should be able to see here the shine of a well-inked surface versus the shine of a not so well-inked surface. So you can see the difference. I'm hoping I can anyway. And again, this comes with a bit of practice. So we are keeping our roller at all times on the lino runner or your block, which then runs, well, it actually reduces the risk of getting these edges. Now, these edges here I actually do want, because I have specifically carved those to stay. But that is looking pretty fine. But there's still a few pieces over this side, like this bit here. When I printed it the other day, I got some marks there as well. And look, I've just done exactly what I didn't want to do there and hit the corner. So another great teaching moment there, Sal. Well done by not keeping it on the runner. So if I didn't have runners on the edge, potentially I would have blue, Prussian blue ink all the way around the edge here. So you can wipe this off with a cloth, but be mindful not to get your leaf. The other thing you could do is carve it down further so it's lower, so you run less of a risk of touching. Or if it is just one little section that keeps catching with the roller, just pop a really thin sheet of paper there, which just acts as a mask and it won't touch on the press. So now we can see under here, and I'm just going to roll it around in the light. See how everything is shimmering? And by leaving these finger holds around the edge, you're not running the risk of getting ink on your fingers or touching the ink and leaving finger marks. So now that this is just so super shiny and sexy, I'm going to put it on the press and have a second proof. So that's how you ink up a plate. Well done to you. Now I am back and I have just done a proof. Now the other thing I wanted to point out, remember I was showing you that I had over inked and accidentally hit the edge of the plate? Don't rush and carve it off just yet because, okay, yes, it did show up here, but I had some extra bits sort of up through here that I thought it had touched. Yes, this bit had come in here, but not all the time do they show up on your proof, your first proof. So I'm really happy with this. It is, yeah, nice and even, and it's a solid print. I will assess these because I don't like that. And I know that this is an over inking problem here in the corner. So I would assess the way that I deal with that, and I would probably, in the first instance, carve a bit more off there to hope this bit here was intentional, this bit here is not, to keep it clean. And then I would run an addition. Potentially I might be laying paper over this corner here or just being a whole lot more careful. But I'm happy with that. Not bad for a second proof, especially seeing I just went a bit crazy here, you know, and again, looking at the design, I'd probably do a few things differently if I was to redesign the plate. But as a flower, I think it is very beautiful with all these beautiful lines running through here. So enough of me talking. Get onto your stations, get rolling out with the ink, and make sure you tag me on Instagram so I can see your proofs. And I can't wait to hear how you've gone. If you'd like to know more, subscribe, all that sort of jazz. But yeah, I look forward to seeing you online.